this computer. That's what I was waiting for. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another amazing empowerment session. We have a lot of people tuning in again. We had such a good time at Zumba, so I'm really glad that you guys came in again tonight. We have such a fun time planned, a great week ahead of us. Tonight, I'm really excited for something new. This is going to be really, really fun. We had the pleasure of meeting Michelle at the end of November, beginning of December at a really fun event, and we just kind of linked instantly. We had a lot of similar goals, and we liked working with this kind of population, individuals who are disabled or have chronic pain and things like that. I'm going to give a short little introduction about Michelle, and then I'm going to pass it over to her. So Michelle's been practicing as a holistic licensed psychotherapist for over a decade. Her passion lies in the blend of mind, body, and soul practices for health and optimal well-being. She experiences chronic pain herself and enjoys supporting other individuals who live inside that area of chronic pain, anxiety, and trauma. She facilitates different Western medical techniques, and she tries to provide a heart-centered support for anyone seeking to recreate or strengthen their identity, no matter what they've experienced. So tonight we're going to learn about ways that we can manage our chronic pain and a little bit of our mental health, which is something I think that we can all relate to. I have been really excited about this because this is things that I try to work on and add new practices into. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to our friend Michelle, and I'm also going to make her the host. Beautiful.
Delightful. Thank you so much, Bree. It's so nice to be here with all of you. It really is a treat. One of my favorite topics in the world is self-compassion and energy medicine and really tending to the body and the mind. I think that so many of us get lost in the stories that we have and get lost in the day-to-day experience where we forget that self-connection through the body, through the mind, through the spirit. And so my goal in the next 50 minutes or so is to give you some tools to practice that really help reconnect everything within you, your mind, your body, your spirit. We're going to move through first a brief grounding exercise just to really tie in your energy to this space and time. And we'll go through different energy techniques. If at all the energy technique feels a bit woo-woo or not necessarily your style, you can let it go and you can release it. I want you to know that when I speak in the term of energy, I'm basically using the same terminology as our nervous system. For me, they go hand in hand. So the energy, the feeling that I embody, how my body is experiencing life, whether I'm calm or I'm feeling chaotic in my system, I use the term energy in that way. So we'll work a little bit on energy, we'll work on self-compassion practices, and then we'll work on nervous system regulation, which I'm sure probably all of you have heard the term nervous system regulation, but we'll just go through it a little bit more, and I'll give you some somatic practices, and I'll explain what it is and how it can be supportive, especially when you're having, or if your body has a harder day where you wake up and you're like, my body's just not doing what I want it to do today, and I'm just not feeling that. So what can I do to recreate a healthy relationship with myself in that moment in time? So that's my agenda for today. I want you to know that how I work is you can ask any question that you want or that you need. You can always interrupt me. Let this be an open conversation, and I will do my best to leave like the last 7 minutes for questions. So you can ask me if you need any areas of clarity or anything that you want to pick my brain about. You just let me know. Sound okay? Okay, yes, good. All right, so let's start with just a very quick, brief grounding exercise. You don't have to close your eyes, even if I say close your eyes. You can stare at a place in your home that feels comfortable or safe for you. So let's just start with a deep inhale, breathing all the way in. And fully exhaling, and on your exhale out, sigh, and allow your shoulders to drop and your eyes to close. And take a second to just arrive. So notice the beautiful body that you have. Notice how your energy feels. If there are a lot of thoughts in your mind, if there's any tension in your body, without judgment, we're just observing. And feel that connection to yourself. And as you feel that connection to yourself, you might notice that your heart begins to light up with a color that's the essence of you, who your spirit is. And notice that color begin to grow inside of your heart. It starts to move into the chest, to move into the belly, to move back into the spine with loving energy and support, to move down through your arms, this beautiful light that your heart has generated, to move into the hips, down through the legs. With whatever body parts you have, just notice the light move all around them, bringing love and kindness to your body. Let's take another deep breath here, breathing all the way in. Fully releasing the breath, again, dropping the shoulders a little bit more and softening the hands and the eyelids and the jaw. Bringing relaxed energy into those areas as those hold the most tension. And coming back to your heart, think of an intention that you want for yourself today. Is there anything that you want to release in our time or gain in our time? Give yourself about 5 more seconds to feel into this. Good. And gently begin to come back into your body, bringing your normal breath back to the rhythm that it was. And open your eyes to the present moment in time. Okay, good. So hopefully your body feels a little bit more grounded. Sometimes with meditation, we can feel less grounded, especially if we tend to be a lot in our head, if we're pretty cerebral. But sometimes we can feel more grounded. It's always worth the try. And just getting used to being in that state of rhythm with our body and feeling supported. So, question for all of you first: who uses self-compassion and gratitude in here? And feel free to speak, feel free to raise your hand. I'd love to hear your practice of it, just a tidbit. Yeah, so we have some people in here, thumbs up, heart. Yeah, Jesse and Bree do, great. And do you feel that self-compassion is something that supports your body? Yeah, okay. One of the ways that really gives grace to the body is our language. And some of us have a really difficult time speaking to ourselves with kind, supportive phrases. So the first part of tonight is learning how to speak to yourself in ways that bring love and kindness and care to the body, especially on harder days. So some of the phrases that I love to use in self-compassion involve a thought that almost like has hearts in it. As cheesy as that sounds, what is it like to say to our body, even though I'm having a hard day, I love all parts of me just as much as everything else? Or even though in this day, I'm feeling like I'm struggling more so than I usually would, I am going to accept where I am and generate as much kindness and connection as I can to each part of me. You know, those phrases tend to be a lot more supportive than the typical language that we might otherwise use. Because I don't know about you, but on chronic pain days, who has chronic pain in here, by the way? Okay. Yeah. So some of us. Yeah. And my thought with most people that experience chronic pain is sometimes it takes the joy away from life. We tend to be really serious. Not all of us, but a lot of us tend to have a sense of life just looks a lot different when we have a body that carries an intensity of a 4 to an 8 on a daily experience. So much energy is generated to those places within us that hurt, that feel heavy, that burn, that have nerve pain, that have tension. And sometimes we get really angry at those parts of us that continuously feel pain. So one of the best ways that we can support our pain is through kindness. And I know a lot of people also tend to avoid or want to get rid of the pain, because who wouldn't? Like, pain is not whether it's emotional pain or spiritual pain or physical pain, it's not something that we enjoy keeping with us. But yet we do try to avoid it, or we feel angry with it. And when this happens, it's really important to tend to that with love. I'm just going to check the comments real quick because I see some that are coming in. Oh, yes, heating pads. Yes, yes, yes. Aren't those delightful in chronic pain days? Or just any day for that matter, for soothing comfort. And yes, someone shared that practicing journaling, because the pain is innate on most days, right? So really having some intense pain and journaling. Gratitude is also one of the most supportive elements that we can utilize in our experience, but we don't want to confuse gratitude with avoidance or negating the actual feelings that we have. Because while we're grateful for everything, it doesn't necessarily mean that we avoid what we actually feel, which is our true feeling. It's okay to say this sucks. It's okay to say I'm having a terrible day. And I don't feel grateful about having a terrible day, because who would, right? Lindsay shares that chronic pain triggers body grief for me, and self-compassion helps get you through this. Yeah, body grief. Oh, can you guys relate to that term, body grief? Yeah, wholeheartedly, right? I mean, it's a real thing. It's a real thing that we experience. So when it comes to self-compassion and gratitude, I think inside of the optimal well-being process, these are required. It's not a maybe, it's actually a have to, if we want to live a life where we feel joyful and we want to create meaning. Because if we walk around all the time with a story that feels heavy, or that brings us to the floor, our energy, our vibration, our frequency cannot be that sustains a life with vitality. And I think vitality is a word that sometimes feels far reach for people who experience chronic pain, chronic illness, chronic conditions, but you can still have it. And I'm sure all of you can relate to that too. So self-compassion and gratitude are requirements of optimal well-being. The other is energy psychology. And energy psychology is that of which is taking care of our energetic body. Does anyone, is anyone familiar with the term energetic body, or just energy systems in general? Not necessarily? Yeah. Okay. So just going to check the messages real quick. Yeah, body grief. So energy psychology, or the energy body, is this concept. And I'm going to talk to you in the term of a concept, because if it feels again too woo-woo, let it go. If it's not for you, don't listen to me right now. If it is for you, take it with curiosity and see how this might feel. So we have these energy bodies in our systems, and they provide these concepts of safety and security and stability, which is at our root. It's our base function. It's in our hips, in our pelvic floor. The next energy body contains the concepts of connection with other people, sexual identity, passion, creativity. This is in our lower section, lower belly, or our sacral area. If we move into the mid belly, right where our diaphragm is. This is where we have our willpower, our self-confidence, our drive, our motivation to do things, and our insecurities are here too. We have in our heart our energy center of the obvious, right? Love, grief, body grief, joy. If we move up to the throat, that is our energy center of self-expression. It's where we ask for what we need, where we speak, where we create, because we do create with our thoughts that travel into our voice, or if we can't speak, travel into our fingers or letterboard, any form of communication. And then we have our third eye energy body. This is where we intuitively connect. So the power of intuition is incredibly strong for some of us, and for others, it feels like, what is that? So through our intuition energy body, we can see things a little bit more clearly, and sometimes we might find that we have illusions here too. And then the last energy body is the top part of the head, or our connection to our faith, source energy, your higher self, whatever it is that you choose to connect with. So when we have all these energy bodies, some people call them chakras, some people call them energy bodies, some people call them energy centers, or just concepts. Again, it's your language that you want to use for this. It's really important to tend to and notice all of them and how they're functioning. So how do we do this, especially with a body that has chronic pain, or if we have emotional challenges, or if we feel misaligned? We do this by asking these places within us how they are, how they're functioning. Are they frozen? Are they moving? Or are they regressing? Are they going backwards? And so we can ask simple questions of, am I feeling stable in my life right now? If not, what is my barrier to stability? What is my barrier to feeling safe with myself or with my family or my community? Do I have everything that I need in my environment to take care of me? And if the answer is I don't know or no, well, there's a chance that your nervous system isn't going to feel as supported. Our nervous system is that feeling in our body that gives us a deep sigh, gives us comfort. So if something inside of our root, inside of our safety, trust, our security is not feeling good, if it's frozen, if it's regressed behind, there's something in our life that probably won't feel aligned. It won't feel well. And we go up all the chakras, all the energy centers like that. So through questioning, let's say again through the sacral, which is that lower abdomen area, are you feeling connected with your friends and family? How is your sense of relationships with other people? Are you feeling supported? These are questions that we will want to ask. And if the answer is no, there's some exploration that's needed there. And if we move up all of the different chakras, and by the way, what I'm going to give you today at the end, and I'll have Jesse or Bree share this, it's a packet. You're going to get 2 packets. One's going to be on nervous system regulation for chronic pain. The other is going to be on the energy bodies and questions to ask each energy center. So you'll have access to that. I'm not going to verbally go through it all because we won't have time today if I do. But you'll get it for your access, so you can go ahead and question yourself after this time and see, where do you need that additional support? And when I say, oh, perfect, Jesse, thank you. When I say that self-reflection is so important, I truly mean that. Like, do you guys tend to self-reflect a lot? Do you use self-reflection as a tool in your life? Some of us? Yeah. And what do you think it does? What do you feel self-reflection does for you? Just for your mind, for your conscious energy, what does it do? What does it help you with normally? Any ideas? And if not, that's okay. I'll share some. Well, I would say that self-reflection primarily helps us evolve, right? It helps us find what isn't working and move into what is. So yeah, Shamika says to see what's going right and what I can do better. I love that. Absolutely. It's like an assessment, right? It's a self-assessment of, wait a second, where am I? Because sometimes we're on autopilot and we wake up and we just do what we do, right? We wake up, we have our morning routine, we eat what we eat, we drink what we drink, maybe we brush our teeth, we go to the bathroom, maybe we work, maybe we stay home. It's a normal everyday routine. We take care of our bodies, we do what we need to do with hygiene. But when do we actually self-reflect about our life is a really important question. And self-reflection can bring us a lot of ideas to work with, especially if there's any type of stagnancy around our identity, our work, relationships. Yeah, yes, great. So Lindsay says build insight and understanding. Tony helps me take pause and understand myself better. And Autumn helps to just evaluate. Reflection can be really difficult to deep dive, and that is the truth, which is why sometimes we avoid it. Right? Self-reflection is one of those things where it's like, oh, do I really want to go there and actually hear my thoughts? Like, do I really want to spend time thinking about what I can improve or change or shift? Because then that means that I have to plan what I'm going to do differently. And I don't know if I have the energy for that, because sometimes that takes a lot of energy too. So I can definitely relate to that, Autumn. I'm sure some of you guys can as well. Um, so just to backtrack a little bit, self-compassion and gratitude, really important factors. Energy assessment, energy centers, asking questions is a way to work with not just the mind, not just the body, but our energy. So I'm going to give you a couple of things that you can do with your energy to work on it, to shift it, to realign it in a different way. There's something called the meridian treatment points. And what these are, they're points on our bodies that are known as acupressure points, acupuncture points. If you've ever heard of emotional freedom techniques, this is what this is, or thought field therapy, this is what this is. I'm just going to move through them with you. So, and then I'll explain them, but I want you to feel them. So if you have the ability to participate, wonderful. If you cannot move your arms, I want you to imagine your hands touching the pressure points here. It works just the same, okay? So the first is the karate chop point. So this is the first one. You can do it either this way, or this way. It's fine either way. This is where you would tap first. The second point to tap is the top part of your head. The third point is the eyebrow. Fourth is the side of the eye. Fifth is underneath the eye. Beneath the nose. Underneath the lip. The collarbone, that hard spot, drop down into the soft spot and press the squishy spot. Yes. And then the center of the chest. So those are the points. That is one way that we work to shift our energy. And I'm going to do just a momentary experiential exercise with you. You can feel free to kind of think the words along with me as I say them out loud. And just feel how your body experiences this, because sometimes you can feel a sense of tingly energy. Sometimes you can feel a sense of release. Sometimes you might yawn, you might have a belly growl. This is the experience of tapping. It's one of the things I love to use with my clients. So the premise of this tapping is just going to be to elevate our sense of self, to open up to the idea that no matter what's happened in our life, no matter how we've defined ourselves, we have the opportunity to love who we are, to nurture who we are, to take care of ourselves, whether life is hard or easy. So I'm going to say a script. I'm just going to ad lib because that's what I usually do. And you'll just follow the points again to tap. Does that sound okay for everyone? Yeah. Okay. And you don't, again, you don't have to follow along if you don't want to. This is just optional. So the first point is the karate chop point. So you can say silently what I'm saying out loud. Even though sometimes life doesn't always feel as easy as I'd planned, I am open and willing to accept myself where I am now with love and light and support. Even though life hasn't turned out necessarily the way I've planned, I am honest with myself and bring an abundance of love and care to all the places in me that may hurt or feel uncomfortable. Top part of the head. Sometimes my body doesn't do exactly what I want it to do. Some days feel more challenging than others. Side of the eye. But this is the beautiful body that I have underneath the eye. My body is alive. My body moves underneath the nose. And in this body that I do have, I am open and willing to take care of it in every single way that I know how. Underneath the lip, I deserve to live a life of vitality and meaning and joy. Underneath the collarbone, I deserve all the good things in my life. I deserve to have patience with myself. I deserve to bring kindness to my heart. I deserve to see beauty in everything. And the center of the chest. So I grant myself permission to live a life that feels really good for my soul. Relax your hands now and take a deep breath, breathing in. And exhale. And just take a second to notice how you feel. Take a second to notice if there's been some movement. Good. How did everyone feel after that? Good. Lighter, Jesse. Chelsea feels some good things. Tanya, yeah. Calm, relaxed, energized. Oh, we love those words. Don't we like those words? Calm, relaxed, and energized. Yay. For 2024, those should be the words that we live by. um, so, yes. Oh, yes, I so feel that. An intense reaction too. Yeah. Um, so that's emotional freedom techniques. It's just the idea of stimulating acupressure points in the body through release and through integration. It's a little bit of both. And you can find it all over YouTube, by the way. You can self-practice this. If you type like a script for chronic pain or for relaxation or for feeling less anxious, they'll take you through all the tapping points and they'll guide you kind of just like I did now. So anytime that you want, if you liked this, just go on YouTube and I'll send some links to Jesse or Bree, but go on YouTube, feel into all of it because it's a really great tool that's non-invasive and that feels really good for the energy center, the body, and the mind. Okay. So before I move on to nervous system regulation, any questions so far about self-compassion, gratitude, or energy systems? All right. And again, remember, you can interrupt me anytime that you want if you do have a question. So really, the next piece is nervous system regulation. And is anyone familiar with all the different states of nervous system regulation? If so, raise your hand. If not, that's okay too. Means I get to give you your first experience with what nervous system regulation is. Okay. Great. All right. Yes, Lindsay, thumbs up. Okay. So nervous system regulation is becoming a more popularized, I don't even know if that's a word, but we're just going to use it, term in the field of mental health counseling and physical therapy and energy medicine, massage therapy, chiropractic care. Nervous system regulation is one of the most important gifts you can ever give yourself for the rest of your life. Nervous system regulation is our body's ability to rest, to digest, to get the nourishment it needs for brain health and physical health. I'm going to share with you the different styles of nervous system regulation so you'll be able to walk out of this presentation and name it in your life and know what it is. Lindsay says amen. Yes, yes, yes. So first and foremost, parasympathetic. That's the first nervous system regulation state. Parasympathetic, also known as ventral vagal, VENTRAL, vagal, VAGAL. I think it's VAGAL. I could be spelling it wrong. Please forgive me if I am. I did not major in English. So parasympathetic nervous system is when your body is able to eat food well and digest. Your heart rate variability is good, which means your pulse is nice and low. There's not a lot of anxiety or stress. You feel good. You can connect with friends. You can spend time around others and feel that sense of camaraderie. Like life just feels well put together. You can be in community and feel like you belong. This is all ventral vagal or parasympathetic. And one of the ways that we support parasympathetic is through breath, right? It's through breathing and not a short breath, not the chest breath of like, that's not parasympathetic. That's sympathetic. It is, oh, thank you, Chris. Chris says that my spelling was correct. Thank you. That's good to know. Parasympathetic breath is that deep belly breath, right? The breathing through your belly first, your chest, the chest goes back down, the belly goes back down. It's that full regulated breath. And when we're in ventral vagal or parasympathetic, everything feels more calm and relaxed. So that's the first state. The second state is sympathetic. Sympathetic is where you're not calm. Sympathetic is where you are completely erratic. Life feels scary. You feel anxious. You feel angry. You feel fearful. You're not quite sure what's going to happen. Your body's tight. Your jaw's tense. Your heart rate's quick. Your blood pressure's up. You can't digest food well. Sympathetic is when we're getting ready to fight. And so if you notice the language, parasympathetic, ventral vagal is rest and digest. Sympathetic is that fight. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight whatever I need to. I'm going to get it, right? It's that quickness. The other state is dorsal vagal. Now, dorsal vagal is where everything shuts down and you just downright give up. It's where depression hits. It's where isolation comes into play. This is like the red state. It's the uh-oh state. It's the I'm not doing very well state. It's I need support and I need to ask for it state of being. Because when we go into dorsal vagal, otherwise known as freeze or fawn, when we're inside of that place, the world seems really bleak and we feel really helpless. And you might imagine Peter V. He talks about the deer that sees its prey. And all of a sudden, the deer will be running and galloping, and it sees its prey and it stops and it plays dead for a second. Or the deer is already running, the animal comes to it, it plays dead, so the animal will leave it, even if it's bitten a couple of times, but it's still alive, and it will stay playing dead for a second. That's the dorsal state. But all of a sudden, what happens in animals is the deer stays playing for a while until the lion or the cougar run off. And then the deer gets up and it shakes the shit out of itself. It literally shakes itself so much to release that energy, that pent up energy, that sympathetic, oh my God, I almost died. The predator almost got me energy. And then it's able to go back to its everyday experience. Like, you have a pet dog. You know how sometimes if it gets in social situations, it'll like shake itself real quick and it moves its energy out? That's what it's doing. Yes, exactly, Autumn. Oh, podcasts on nervous system regulation are wonderful. And all the system. It's in our spine. It connects to our brain, to our belly, to everything. You know, when you're nervous, how you start to shake, your vision gets tunneled, that's sympathetic, right? Or when you're in dorsal vagal and your body is just like, just feels dead. It really does. It feels dead inside. All you can do is lay down and just like everything just stops. You're like, I don't even know what to do with myself. So how do you work with some of those states? So the last part of this conversation for the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to give some tools and strategies. When you're inside of sympathetic, you would think to do the opposite, but you don't. Most people think that when they're in sympathetic state, they need calming exercises. It's actually quite the opposite. You need things that combat the sympathetic, which means inducing more. So how do you do that? Well, if you can shower and take a cold shower, great. If you can't, if you have dysautonomia, if it's hard to get in the shower or the bath, don't do it. Wash your hands or face instead with cold water. Or take a cold cloth or a cold ice cube or an ice pack on the inner elbows or the back of the neck. Let that snap back into reality, what's happening. You could eat something spicy if your body can tolerate it, like a spicy pickle, or have something sour, like a sour candy or a lemon, something that, like it will snap back into reality that moment in time of like, here's a sensation that gets me out of this state. So sympathetic, comforting that is actually using other techniques that stimulate it because it starts to regulate the system again. Something that wakes us up. Yes, Carla, exactly. That wakes you up and out of it. Exactly. With the dorsal vagal state, this one's a little bit different. This one is a very slow moving thing. Sometimes when we're in dorsal vagal, the best thing that we can do for ourselves is ask for help. Say to someone, I'm having a hard time right now. I need your help. Or we use a heating pad to our body. I think someone mentioned that earlier. Who was it that mentioned that earlier? It was... thank you. Yes, thank you, Kat. Heating pad, right? To calm and soothe the system. So we want to do things that are calming and soothing to work with the dorsal vagal state and get us out of that. Asking for help, calming, soothing experiences, a warm bath, a warm shower, a warm towel, anything. Calming music, something that stimulates us enough for a little bit of movement, but it's still calming. And ultimately, the point of sympathetic and dorsal vagal is we want to move both these states back into parasympathetic or ventral vagal, which is the rest and digest. So take your time to understand this. I don't expect it to be right away, but take your time with this concept. If you can learn in your everyday experience, whether you have health anxiety, body anxiety, to notice where you are in that state, that red, that green or yellow state. And by the way, the packet that I'm going to send you has all of this explained. So you'll be able to reread it again. I want you to utilize this as much as possible for your body's evolution, right? So again, just to recap before we go into discussion, if there are any questions. Self-compassion, the language that you use with your body, helps save it, truly. The practices of gratitude, being grateful for where you're at, seeing the areas of silver lining, are so supportive for our entire experience, for our well-being. The energetic systems, or our energy bodies, or our chakras, self-reflection to assess where you're at in your experience is great for chronic pain, for emotional instability. It helps us give insight into wherever it is that we're at. And then the last one being our nervous system regulation. Certain exercises bring us into that state of parasympathetic, which is where we do our best. It's where we live our most peaceful life, no matter what's happening, no matter what our body's doing. If we can connect our mind, our body, and our spirit through all of those aspects, life feels a lot more in flow, a lot more in flow. So practice any and every of those. The emotional freedom techniques too, use those to your benefit. There's never a time, I don't think, when I've been anxious, I haven't gone to the magic mustache, which, by the way, this is called the magic mustache. It's our governing and central meridian point when you're feeling nervous. If you practice that, it's really great. I use it all the time. If you ever have tummy issues, use this point, this pressure point right underneath kind of that nasal cavity. It's a great stimulation point, okay? And if you're feeling really tense, press here. Here's the collarbone. It's that squishy space right underneath the collarbone. And if you just sit here for a second, feels really good. The last thing that I'm going to give you, and then I promise I'll shut up, is a certain hug. If you have the opportunity to use your hands or arms, or if you imagine your body going to this place, either or, you're going to place the right hand underneath the left armpit, the left hand over the right shoulder. And I just want you to feel how good that feels, how supportive it feels. It's like a really nice hug. And this is a great, great tool for your parasympathetic nervous system. So anytime you're feeling anxious or nervous, come back to this place. Again, right hand closest to the heart, underneath the armpit, left hand over top the right shoulder, and really just self-soothing. So hopefully, my hope is that your body is like, oh, that's like a warm bath after today. So I hope you were able to get some sort of regulation in your system. And we have 7 minutes for questions. So don't feel like you have to ask, but if you have any questions for me, I'd love to answer.
I have a quick question. When you're saying the pushing the points on your collarbone, if it hurts, does that just mean it's in the wrong spot?
No, actually, so
Okay.
if it hurts, it almost always hurts, but don't
Okay.
press it to where it's like, oh my God, I'm in excruciating pain. Like just, press it to where you feel that tension and just hold
Okay.
it and do some deep breaths.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Thank you.
you're welcome. Good question. Yeah. I will say too, if anyone enjoyed this, my social media is my name. It's Michelle Shlafman on Instagram, and that's SHL. It's a very unique spelling. It should be with a C, but apparently it's not. If you want support in this realm, these are all the things that I talk about on my social media channel. So feel free to connect with me, or feel free to email me, or feel free to shoot me a phone call. If you have any questions about today, you just let me know. So I'll leave space for a couple more questions if there are any. And if not, we'll go ahead and end shortly.
Right. We will also send all this information out with you guys with the recording, the email that you get afterwards. So you'll get her contact information if you want to reach out and do something. If you want to contact her offline, you'll get her social media and be able to contact her as well. I'm so sorry for interrupting you, Chelsea.
Oh, you're fine, Josie. I had a question about the tapping.
Mhm.
So my left hand works better than my right.
Mhm.
Is it necessary to use both hands to tap both pressure points?
Not at all, Chelsea. So use whatever hand is most dominant for you, and that is the only hand that you need to use. So you can tap, and even if tapping, it feels funny, like the actual movement, you can just actually hold the points. You don't even have to tap. You can just gently hold the points, and that will work just as well.
Okay, great. Thank
Good
you.
question. Yeah, of course. Shamika, I think your hand was raised.
I just wanted to say thank you for this because especially like the nervous system exercise, because that's something I've been working on for myself because I tend to have a lot of anxiety at night. So I try to do different exercises and different things. There's like a meditation that I listen to at night. And I also, you were talking about the warm hugs. I'm gonna try that, but one thing that I like to do is like I call it like an adult swaddle. So I like wrap my blanket up around me like really tight, and that
Yes.
calms my body down.
Yes. The pressure points, right? The blanket. No, that's so good for your body. And sometimes we have the weighted blankets too that work great. I know they're a little bit expensive, but some people really love them. But the swaddle works great for the nervous system. I love that you naturally were inclined to do that for your body. Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
I want to say thank you also. I'm like 6 months newly injured or something, and I was crying for the past several hours, and I saw what I was, oh, it's on my calendar, Mind, Body, oh, I guess I'll go to that, maybe that'll help. And it did. So I just want to say thank you very
Good.
much.
Brina, you are so welcome. I'm so
Thank-
glad that you were able to be here.
Thank you. And I also want to shout out to Jesse because I've never so-called like met you in person before, but I feel like I know you already because you've helped me so much with your YouTube videos. Like I learned how to get up off the floor. Well, I'm attempting to learn up how to get off the floor, and you've helped me a lot. So thank you.
I also just I was sending you a message as you said that. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's really nice when I think sometimes, we don't even know the goodness in the world that we're doing until we know. So thank you for sharing that, Brina. And for each of us, sometimes like a compliment or a sharing or just a passing of information that we keep to ourselves, but we actually share it out loud is so supportive for any and all. Even if that's like, if a friend asks you how you are and that's all it was, but it feels good to say, thanks for asking how I am. Like that meant a lot to me. So I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for sharing. Does anyone have any final questions for Michelle or Jesse or anything else to say? I feel so much calmer after this session. Oh, we have one last one with Kat. Kat, you want to go real quick?
Sure. I just want to say, Michelle, doing all of these techniques with the group today, I started this evening with really severe hip joint pain, like the butcher knife deep in my hips, but it's been reduced from like 9 to a 6. So I'm like, oh, this is so good. I feel great right now. I was miserable. Well, I mean, the Zumba class was awesome, but oh, it kicked my butt really bad. So thank you for tonight, Michelle.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
so welcome, Kat. Absolutely. And the great thing is these tools are all at our disposal. We have them whenever we need them. And by the way, you don't need to go to therapy to have them. You can look them up on YouTube. You can look them up on podcasts, nervous system regulation exercises. There's so much information on Instagram, emotional freedom techniques, tapping, working with your chakras. You have all of these at your disposal. So anytime you want to use them, and don't feel like you have to use all of them at the same time. That can be overwhelming. Choose one that you want to practice a little bit, get to know it, and see how it works for your body. So it was my absolute pleasure being able to share this space for you. And yeah, I'll look forward to it in the future, hopefully.
Thank you so much. Before she takes off, I just want to say thank you so much again, Michelle, for giving us your time. We would not be able to have these events without amazing people like you who are just willing to share this amazing information and just really support this community. So thank you. And then I want to thank everyone else who attended this as well. We also couldn't do it without you guys. You guys keep us going. You guys keep us finding new resources, finding things that are new and exciting that can help you guys grow. Brina, I can relate to your story personally. I actually came to empowerment, and one or two things just changed my entire life. So I hope you come back some more. I hope you sign up for the rest of the week. If you guys haven't signed up for the rest of the week, please do. I will send a link in the post email that you guys will receive tonight. You receive the recording for tonight, all of Michelle's information for her social media, her website, the resources that she sends, and I will send you a link for the rest of the week. If you found any of this information valuable, or you see that the nights ahead are going to be really great too, please share that with your friends. We are really just trying to grow this and really trying to reach as many people as we can. So if you see something that your other wheel friends would enjoy, please send this their way as well. Tomorrow we have Brittany, who's going to share her story about living empowered with a disability. She's been injured since she was really young. So she's like 25, 30 years in. So she's going to share her story with us. Thursday, we have Chris Mitchell, who's going to talk about how success starts with self-confidence, which I'm really excited about. I always love a little bit of personal development and confidence coaching. And then Friday, we will be ending with our lovely friend Shamika. She is going to talk and lead us through some New Year self-care rituals that'll lead us into 2024. So I'm really excited for that. So thank you guys so much for coming again tonight. I hope to see you guys later on this week, and I will be emailing you guys shortly with all this information.
And I'll send it your way too, Bree, probably by the end of tonight.
Beautiful. Thanks, Michelle. And thank you guys.
Bye, everyone.
See you guys tomorrow.